100 days into a push to vaccinate people in one of the hardest hit areas in San Diego, the biggest hurdle local leaders say they are facing.
Celebrating the life and legacy of a San Diego icon, Father Joe, how he'll be remembered after decades of work to help the homeless.
And the new steps being taken by the city to help protect seals and sea lions in La Jolla after a string of recent incidents that have raised some concerns. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
So good to have you with us. I'm Jim Patton.
I'm Virginia Shaw. Well, the city of National City just wrapped up its 100-day campaign to get its residents vaccinated, but they fell short of the goal.
Yeah, ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell is joining us live from City Hall. And Marie, the mayor says the fight is not over.
Yeah, Jim, so remember, they did this because National City was one of the hardest hit communities. That is why they set the goal of trying to vaccinate 45,000 people. Now, they fell short of that, but the mayor says the work will continue to reach out to those who are still hesitant in getting the vaccine.
We're still pushing and encouraging our community to get vaccinated.
National City's Mayor Alejandra Sotelo Solis says she's not going to stop until the city reaches its goal of getting 45,000 people vaccinated. Right now, they're at about 35,982.
Give a big round of applause. Yay.
The mayor wanted to get this done within 100 days, but they didn't quite get there. A task she says was challenging as the city was one of the hardest hit communities.
We have people that were hit with family members dying, with jobs lost, with potential housing crisis and eviction notices.
The city kicked off this 100-day program by setting up one of the first vaccination sites specifically targeting teens. The mayor says the goal was to make it easier for eligible students at Sweetwater High School to get vaccinated. Over the course of the pandemic, National City has been at the forefront, from being one of the first cities to mandate mask wearing to ramping up testing sites. Mayor Sotelo Solis says they will continue working to gain the trust of those that are still hesitant in getting the vaccine.
Now, the mayor says they've gone as far as literally going door to door, passing out information, really trying to reach out to the community, something she says they will continue to do so until they reach their goal. Live from National City, Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Marie, thank you very much. Well, meanwhile, here's a look at the situation across San Diego County. Nearly 80% of people who are eligible have gotten at least one shot. About 1.9 million, 68%, are fully vaccinated.
The push to get more people vaccinated in San Diego comes amid a new race across the country and the world to try to outpace the Delta variant. Israel, for example, now giving certain parts of its population a booster shot. And Pfizer is meeting with U.S. officials today to talk about how that could be rolled out here. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
With the Delta variant spreading coast to coast, 25 states are now seeing an increase in new cases, 17 seeing a jump in hospital admissions, and in 6 of those, deaths also on the rise.
I am concerned. You know, the Delta variant, it is more contagious, and so any area where there's a lower rate of vaccination, you're going to see spread.
This as daily vaccinations plummet, down 85% from the April peak.
I really believe we are at a point where we can say pretty confidently that you're either going to be vaccinated or you're going to have COVID.
Experts say the vaccines work well against the current variants, but still drug companies are preparing for the future. Pfizer meeting with the FDA Monday to discuss potential emergency use authorization for a third dose. Pfizer suggesting booster shots will offer optimal protection within 12 months after a second dose.
The CDC and the FDA correctly said, right now, we don't feel you need a booster. That doesn't mean that we're not very, very actively following and gathering all of this information to see if and when we might need it.
Arkansas's governor trying to convince those who are hesitant to trust the shot.
Republicans, Democrats, we all suffer the same consequence if the Delta variant gets us and we're not vaccinated.
This week, the CDC director saying 99.5% of Americans killed by COVID recently were unvaccinated. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Now, this morning, people across San Diego celebrating the life and work of a local icon, Father Joe Carroll. He died Saturday morning after decades of dedicating his life to helping San Diegans homeless. His legacy will live on for a long time to come, but people say it goes well beyond the buildings around the county that bear his name.
He didn't want to do the same model. He wanted people to have dignified housing. He wanted for people to believe that they themselves could empower themselves into pulling themselves out of poverty, but they needed compassion and support to do that.
Carroll was a champion for the homeless community and wanted to make his outreach efforts about more than just providing shelter. Writer Catherine Cloward wrote 2 memoirs about him, and she says she cherishes the time she spent with him.
I would just press record on my phone. I have hundreds of hours of recorded conversations with him, and it was really special. Father Joe was a really cheerful, kind, compassionate man. He listened. He wanted to know who you were.
Father Joe Carroll was 80 years old.
Leaders around San Diego are also mourning the loss of Father Joe, and they're honoring his legacy. Mayor Todd Gloria wrote on Twitter, quote, "Father Joe is etched in the history of San Diego. His relentless dedication to serving our most vulnerable saved and changed countless lives." Bishop Robert McElroy of the San Diego Catholic Diocese says Father Joe completely recreated homeless outreach here in San Diego. He said in part, quote, "Father Joe Carroll was a priest who made Christ's message of compassion and mercy real in a world where we often look the other way rather than embrace those who are suffering in our midst." The president and CEO of Father Joe's Villages, Deacon Jim Vargas, says he was saddened by the loss of Father Joe, but also celebrates his lifetime of service. He said in part, quote, "I fondly remember the stories and laughs that we shared, and his legacy will live on in all that we do." You can find more reaction to Father Joe's passing and learn more about his life and legacy at 10news.com.
There are new signs up all around La Jolla Cove warning people to keep their distance from the seals and the sea lions and their pups.
That's after several recent incidents in which the animals were seen being harassed by people who got too close. ABC 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie joined the crowd gathered to watch the animals from a safe distance.
Here at Point La Jolla, we're still in pupping season for the sea lions. The only one discouraging people from getting too close right now is this big guy.
For the sea lions that lounge in La Jolla, pupping season lasts through the end of October, and it's a vulnerable time for the newborn pups, which can't swim well and are at risk of drowning. But irresponsible tourism can also be dangerous for humans who decide to get too close. They can be bitten by these large and often assertive animals. In June, animal rights activists alerted the media that a newborn sea lion pup died after being harassed by people who got too close and scared the animals. So now the signage and staff who will be present here at times should serve to educate the humans on how to behave.
We had hoped some common sense would prevail, would keep people separate from the sea lions. But over the years, we just were not seeing it. And it was a distraction for the lifeguards who should be worrying about people swimming. The park rangers were employed, and it really was not sufficient to communicate. So I'm very pleased to see this new signage, this new stenciling along the wall that is very clear and unambiguous, that tells people, observe, look, take your pictures from the boardwalk.
We reached out to the mayor's office to see how often and by whom the area is expected to be staffed, and we're waiting to hear back. In La Jolla, Mary McKenzie, ABC 10 News.
Overnight, a wrong-way crash leading to a close call along the I-8. This car smashed through the guardrail, nearly plunged off of a bridge. It happened in El Cajon around 2 this morning. CHP says they received calls about a driver going the wrong way on the eastbound side of the freeway near the 67. Say the driver smashed into the center divide before slamming into a guardrail and then got wedged there, but you could see pieces of the car in the street below. Driver was checked out for DUI. Crews were called in to check on the integrity of that bridge.
A search for clues is underway after a woman was gunned down at the border. San Diego police say she was killed and a man wounded when the shooting started early this morning near the Otay Mesa border crossing. Now, they believe the shooting happened on the Mexico side before the 2 victims were able to walk through the border crossing to the U.S. side. The woman died at a hospital. Homicide detectives have now taken over the investigation.
Meanwhile, deputies investigating a deadly shooting in Spring Valley. A witness telling our photojournalist in the 10 News breaking news tracker that the shooter walked up to a parked car, fired several shots at a man inside before walking away. This was just after 11 last night at Elkleton Boulevard and Crestmore Avenue. An ambulance raced that man that was in the car that was shot to the hospital performing CPR, but he was pronounced dead at the hospital.